Hello, this is Gene. I just want to let you know that you might hear, sounds like there's a more going on out there, so you might hear that in the background during this video. First, before I start my video, I want to say thank you to those who've subscribed to my channel over the last, I don't know, 2 weeks. It seems like the Mark Goldbridge, Luke Shaw video kind of like went somewhat viral, I guess. I'm at 4,000 views, which is very high for me. That's my second of all time. And I appreciate those who've subscribed to my channel, and I've also appreciate those that have actually had constructive comments in that video. And of course, I don't agree with everything that people say, and they don't have to agree with me. When it comes to sports, we're allowed to have that type of debate. And we should listen to both sides. And why I started that video a couple months ago was based on the fact that Mark was he thought anybody who had a different opinion when it came to Shaw that we were fascists, which I thought was kind of strange. And it sat out there for a long time, and a decent 800 people watch it, and all of a sudden it must have got onto some recommended stuff, and people started sharing it or something. And like I said, I'm at 4,000. And it's strange because yesterday I think that the positives to the Knights was it was positives to, or up votes to down votes was 5-1, and recently it's almost 1-1. So I don't know if there are people that are coming out either defending Mark Goldbridge, or they don't like the fact that I said something about Shaw that is true. I mean, this is nothing that I made up. This is something that he had an issue at all the teams he's been at before. So I still hope that he stays for Manchester United and becomes a great player. That's all I can say about that. However, I think a lot of people that have subscribed to my channel might end up unsubscribing, because what I actually say on this channel is not considered PC. I am a person that believes that European nations and the United States were created by white people, and they need to be defended. Now, I'm not saying that people from other races and creeds or whatever cannot be in these lands. I'm not somebody on the alt-right that says that we're going to have an ethno-state and everybody's just going to be there and they're all going to be white. I don't believe in that. I don't think that really can happen, especially not in the United States. I mean, if that happened, we'd have a lot of people getting killed. People that the number would be just immense, and I don't want that to happen. However, I don't think it should be a problem for anybody that looks like me that says, hey, this is going on in my country and I want to stop it. If I want to stop immigration from the third world, I shouldn't be labeled as a racist. And if you want to call me a racist, that's fine, but I don't need a federal court judge to basically say I'm racist because you think that my policies are racist. And then we know that if these ever go up to Supreme Court under the Constitution, that my policies or the president's policies would be considered constitutional. There's nothing that this president has ever done that is unconstitutional when it comes to immigration. He says a lot of stupid stuff online. Overall, the man is kind of a blowhard in a lot of ways. He's an arrogant prick at sometimes, but I voted for him. And I'm a white liberal. I voted for Obama many times, twice. Clinton, Kerr. I voted Democratic my entire life. The problem is that the Democratic Party, and this is the same problem when you go overseas to England or any other liberal side, in some of these countries, there really is no right. You're considered far right if you don't agree with anybody that's liberal. Even the Tories and stuff are not really conservatives at all. They somewhat believe in open borders. And they have this idea that we need to have these people come in because the white people will not do the jobs they need to do, and the fact is that we're not reproducing, so we need to have people that come from countries that actually like to reproduce all the time, and they think that that's going to be a good thing for the country. Well, we all know that it's not. It's going to be a strain on the economy, and the people who are actually working, normally the white people, are going to have to pay for it, and then they end up become more and more of a minority, and eventually they get exactly what they want. The elite in these countries have cheap labor, and they can rule over you through debts and stuff like that. So there are a lot of people who talk about the alt-right of what this is, the Kerr plan. And it seems like it's out there for us to see. And there are so many people in this country and in England and Sweden and Denmark and the Netherlands and Germany and France that are just, I don't know, their heads in the sand and they can't wake up because they're worried that somebody's going to call you a racist because you want to defend what your heritage was. I mean, I don't really understand it. And I know, I think that what this is happening, that it's like your bloodline. And in the old days is a big thing. You know, I had to have us on so I can keep my bloodline going on because that's the most important thing. And I see that right now that's happening to the white people, is that our bloodline is basically draining from itself. That we are either going to be diluted by going to other races, let's say, or we're just going to be so self-hating that we're not going to reproduce, that we think that we're the problem in the world, and why should we ever reproduce? Because it'll make it worse for everybody else because there are more white people. And we just live in this, there are a lot of people that under the surface, they see it, but they don't want to go to the next level. And this is the area that we're in right now. And as I get older in my life, I don't think that we're ever going to get to that point where enough people are going to wake up. So I want to talk in this channel, and I do want to talk about sports as well. And we're going to talk about a little thing that happened in sports. And I want to talk about Manchester United. And I want to talk about topics that really have no real relevance in the world when it comes to all this stuff I'm talking about. But there is an indirect link between all this. You see it all. Just look at the demographic makeup of the teams in England in the 1990s, and then look at them right now. Over the last 20 years, that white people can't play soccer anymore or football anymore. It's just strange to me how it's happened so much. And I think that, and if you look how Manchester United promotes tolerance and inclusivity and all the progressive terms, and it almost thinks like they want to get football players that have that. Now, they're business, and getting a guy from like Nigeria or something like that, you have, you know, that country has a lot of people, and they're going to get more people from that, more money from that. That's all fine and dandy. But there's something very wrong in the game when you see that all the time. Of course, by saying this, and while I'll probably lose subscriptions, is because basically I'm looking at Rashford as not being English, or Smalling not being English, or Lingard not being English. I'm not really looking at that. Okay, I don't. Clearly, they were born in England. Some of them have a white parents or mothers, so I don't know what that means. I think biologically, if you have a white mother, then you're white yourself. But whatever, they can choose any culture that they want to be a part of. But something's changed dramatically, and it's strange because even in England, as much as the problem that's going on, and mostly it's Islamic stuff, it's 87% white. Now it's declining, but it should somewhat represent the teams that they have. Maybe not at 87%, but clearly 50-50 maybe. And the fact that if we're going to say that there is no such thing as race realism when it comes to IQ, are we going to say the same thing when it comes to athleticism? Are we just going to say, no, we're going to go ahead and say that black people are better athletes than white people? Until an African country actually wins the World Cup, I'm not going to see that. Until an African team wins the Olympic gold in basketball, I'm not going to believe that. If there is, the athletic difference is so minute, and it comes to being good coaching and being picked out early on to be groomed to be at an elite level. And I think there's some sort of thing going on right now that when these coaches look at young kids, they might see a kid who's 8 or 9 years old who can run a little bit faster than the white kid, and they pick that person. And the white kid might have to go through non-league or Division 1 or 2 or whatever, and then get their way through. I mean, look at Harry Kane. I mean, he wasn't at Premiership. He didn't grow up through that. He had to go down here and get at where he is at the elite level. I mean, he still doesn't look like an athlete to me, but I don't know, he's at the top of the level right now. So anyway, what this video is going to talk about is some of the things that I've heard from coaches, managers, players, reporters in the last couple of days that are disparaging to the President of the United States. And I'm not a 100% fan of Trump. In fact, 18 months before the race started, I laughed when he announced. I thought it was just a publicity stunt for him. But then I researched it, and if you look through my videos, you'll see that when I went through my shames, and I realized that this was the right man for the job, from at least at the economic level. And clearly everything I thought was going to happen happened. We had the lowest unemployment rate in this country since my life, clearly in the black community. But, and he says a lot of stupid stuff. He does on Twitter. And he's an arrogant prick sometimes. But this United States needed somebody with balls to be the president. And clearly, even though Hillary had balls in different ways, she wasn't the right person to be president. So in the last couple of days, and this is what I don't necessarily like, okay? First of all, I have enough problem with the NBA playoffs anyway. Watched a couple of games, and watching these guys don't know how to play team ball. Sometimes Golden State does that. But most of the time it's all ISO shit, and everybody get out of the way, and one-on-one, and it's just horrible the way to watch. And it's just not what I'm used to. And when I hear people say that if this Golden State played in the 80s against Jordan, or they played against Magic and Larry, they'd get killed. If the game was called the same that were played in the 80s, they would get killed too, because they're a bunch of pansies. And unfortunately, it seems like this is how they are when it comes to responding to reporting questions when it talks about President Trump. Instead of saying that this is not really relevant, I'll talk about after the finals, they use this time to sit there and say that he's basically a racist. Not really explaining what their actual thought process is. It just basically says the talking points of the left. Because the president wants the players to stand for the anthem, that somehow is racist. Whatever. Okay, you can have your own opinion. But I'm wondering why the reporters always have to ask stupid-ass questions like that, and they can't sit there and say, let's talk about the game. Because if you say something else that might be personal to them, they'll say that. I'm not going to talk about it, or they'll get up and walk off. But they have every time they can have a chance to take a shot at this president, and the league doesn't say anything about it. When Steve Kerr, a white liberal who lives behind gated fences, who will never have to deal with multiculturalism when it comes to his door. He'll have somebody out there guarding him. He lives in a sanctuary city, but he doesn't go where these kids are that are killing each other. But he sits there and says the president is dividing this country. But he gives no reason for it. He doesn't say this is how he's doing it and how it could be better. And why am I listening to somebody his greatest fame is that he shot a shot one time in one of the finals for the Bulls that helped him win. That all he did there is just sit there out there and the ball was thrown to him. He was never a good defender. He was a good shooter. But why would I listen to anything he has to say? And the question is, why does the reporters continually do stuff like this instead of talking about the game itself? And okay, you want to talk about it, but nobody given the opportunity, if Golden State wins the championship, as they clearly were going to do now, they're up 3-0. They have the ability to go to the White House and talk to the president, just like Kim Kardashian did, and got a woman out of jail. I haven't looked at that case at all, so I don't know if that was warranted at all, but whatever. But if they really think that he's racist when it comes to that, you can say what you want to say about Trump, okay? He was a womanizer. He probably is today. You know, he's no different than Bill Clinton or anybody else that's in power that's a male. There is a dynamic that happens between men and women when a man's in power. And the idea that women don't have agency in this is stupid as well. Women will throw their shit at them. And that's what he talked about in that one tape that came out. Women will throw their pushies at you if you're in power. They will. Ask Tiger Woods what happens. All these women are basically on the bus waiting for him to fuck them. This is how it is. And people don't want to hear that because they think that women are all this nice. And no, they're not. They know that if a guy has got power, that means there's more shit for them. This is just how they work. It doesn't mean that that's not misogyny, and it's not all, but it's clearly true, and we can get past that and just accept that, because they all think that we're that we walk around leading with our dick. So I can say the same thing, that they are worried about how much money I have in my back pocket, because since they do, because it protects them, and that's what they're all about. And that's through thousands of years of evolution. This is what they have to think that they have to do. Anyway, it's changing now because of, because women are trying to be like men now, but that's a different video. So this guy who has really no idea what he's talking about, just because he plays with black people who are at the elite when it comes to getting money, has no idea what it's like to dealing with people, the immigration, to come over the border and driving down wages for people in poor neighborhoods, whether you're white or black or even Hispanic, that it's a bad thing for it. And all the polls show this. When you actually ask black people and Hispanic people that they support immigration, what has it done for them? When I talk about immigration, I'm talking about illegal immigration. And all of them don't like it. Now, there's a little bit more leeway when it comes to Hispanic, but it's still, they only believe like it's 25% of them that actually have a positive outlook on that. The rest of them don't like it because they know what it does in their community. People don't, when you don't have anything to really fight for, you don't care about can care where you're at, So they come in these neighborhoods and they just destroy it. And it's just that it's not really theirs anyway, so they don't really give a shit. Anyway, so you have that, and LeBron said something similar to this. He had a video when he was, I think it was with KD, saying that basically that Trump is a racist. But these guys are these big, huge alpha men, 6'8", 6'10", 7 foot. Not Kerr, I think he's my size. But these big, strong men can't go to the White House when they win these championships and have this conversation with the president, who has been willing to have these conversations, who have been asking black leaders to come in and have these conversations, that he's gone to their places and had these conversations with them. Everybody loved Trump in the black community. This is not just conjecture. This is absolute truth. All you got to do is go back, look during the 80s and the 90s and the early thousands, that he was an icon in the black community. But now, because somebody said he's racist, even though these were friends of his, there are at least acquaintances with him, and now he's racist. You can say he's sexist. I might give you that. I might say that when it comes to how he looks at women, that might be true. I don't think he does that when it comes at workplace. If you're good enough, he's going to hire you. And if you're not good enough, he doesn't give a shit what sex you are or what gender you are or all that stuff. He's a businessman, and that's how he rolls. The problem I have is I think that the NBA probably should find this. There's no reason for them to say stuff like this. And there's no reason why the reporters should actually say that. However, that means that I'm against free speech then. But I would allow that everybody to have, and I'm using my small footprint to talk about this, because they have that. Every time they're in front of that mic, they can control what happens there. I mean, obviously they can just say, I'm not going to talk about that. But when it comes up, they have to say something about this president. And I don't understand it. I don't. Are you still upset because he thought that Obama was from Kenya? Is that still the problem here? Or did you actually even support Obama? There are a lot of people in the black community that didn't like him. They said he was an Uncle Tom until he came in the office, and we found out he's not any of that stuff. He's just a communist kind of sympathizers. His worldview is more of very, very left, even though he wrote a book that seemed like he was more conservative. I don't know if he got taken over. It's no different than Trump being taken over now by people in the elite. He's got issues as well. And I call them out on this channel all the time. But just by saying, I don't understand why we go there. Just prove it to me. You're sitting there in front of these coaches, or in the media. Thousands of people, maybe millions of people, are actually going to see this interview or this press conference. When you say stuff like that, how he's dividing the country, please give me some sort of specifics. Are you saying that by having a wall, that's going to divide the country? Are you saying that because he wants illegals to go back to their country, that's dividing the country? Or do you just not believe what the Constitution believes? Or you don't believe in the rule of law? Or do you think that everybody should come to this country on their own? That it's just their country too? Because at the end of the day, you're making millions and millions of dollars. Your kids will never have to worry about shit like this. But somebody like me has to pay for this shit. And then when I see them walking down my street and do shut and steal shit out of people's cars, and then somebody says, oh, some of these kids are going to get killed, and then they're like, oh, I can't say that. No, we don't want to kill anybody. Well, just give them what's in your car. Keep it open. It's like, we're giving away everything that we have. And this is happening all over the West right now because either PC or white people are just, there's so much self-guilt going on right now. And they can't stand up for their country because they're worried that their neighbor's going to call them racist, that somebody online is going to call them racist. And some of them have, they're in positions that if they lose their jobs, like the girl near me, she was a teacher at the school and she was on a podcast. She didn't talk about all her shit in schools that she believes, but they fired her because she had a different opinion from whatever the mainstream believes. That she was against immigration, that she was against Islamic radicals, that a lot of people on the right are. And this is how you think that, oh, that's not really going to happen. And you know what? She's a white supremacist anyway, so that's okay. You just don't think they're not going to come for you next? Of course they are. Anybody who considers themselves right of anything, they're going to come to you if they have the power to do it. And they're going to, even if you're on the left, that those two gay guys that own that bakery in Portland, they're basically fired their workers because they didn't serve somebody after closing times. The left will kill themselves, kill each other, but you'll sit there and say, not me, I'm a good white guy. And this is exactly what I said, and this is what I tweeted out. This is another example of a white liberal virtual scaling to everybody else that he's the good white man. And I just want to I want to go to his face and punch him in the mouth. I just do. And I know that's not the right avenue, but this guy had the opportunity last year, if he thought this way, when the president was already there, go to the White House, have a conversation with him, because it's not like Trump will not be convinced. He can. He is not hard-leveled so much when it comes to that. Even immigration, he's become soft on it. So he's not from the same guy from the campaign that he is now. He's like, I'm going to allow another 8 million people in this country. I mean, I don't want that. I want them to shut down the borders right now, and I want them to deport people here that are illegal. And this idea that the Democrats are on the side of illegal immigrants in this country, it's infuriating to me. We're finding out now that they don't want that if somebody is illegal and they lose their kids at the borders, that now we have to make sure they stay in this country together because the kids might actually be, but they don't, and if let's say they go to prison for that we can't separate them. But that happens every day in this country to citizens. You go to jail, you get separated. And this stupid ass guy, I think he's from California, said that women really shouldn't go to jail either way, unless it's really bad offense, because that's separating them from their family. And I'm like, do you give a shit? You do the same thing for men? I mean, good Lord, women are not, I think when it comes to people in prison, I think that women are like, what, 10% of all the people in prison? I mean, come on. It's just, they are so far out there, and they're killing the rest of our country because even the people on the right, and again, whether you're alt-right or not, I don't think that the movement is really a right movement. It's not. It's not a conservative movement. There is some traditional values in the movement, but it's really about protecting that we created. And why are we feeling, or why is it that we're being vilified for wanting to do that? Say, yeah, we conquered this world, the West. Some of the shit was not that great. We understand that. And we've given so much money trying to fix this. But we still create all this stuff. All these buildings you see are ours. It's all ours. And we're just letting it just go away. And we're just doing it to ourselves. So it makes it very difficult for me. And I understand a lot of people that says we deserve this because we're doing it to ourselves. But I still think that there's hope. Anyway, just another rant about where we are right now. And those who stayed this long to listen to the rest of this video, thank you. If you decide you need to unsubscribe because you don't believe my worldview when it comes to the West, let me just say it again. The West, how we look at the Western civilization, most of European, America, Canada, all that stuff was a white creation. That's what I believe, and clearly the facts say that. Do we have things that we should have done? Yes. Is it something that always happens when you do stuff like this? Yes. Was slavery bad? Of course. Do I think that the black man has a role in this country? Yes. Do I think together that we can make this country great again? Absolutely. I'm against immigration from the third world. I'm okay with a small amount of immigration from areas that we need certain things. I think that white people and black people and Hispanic people that are here legally can do the jobs that people say that we won't do. We don't have to recruit from Mexico and Guatemala to do stuff in the farms. And if we do that, then fine, they can be here on a work release. And if they do this 4 or 5 times, they can get up higher on that level to become citizens if they want to do that. They should not be allowed to stay here because they come here to farm our lands. And finally, every race is like this. Every culture is like this. It doesn't. Why are we different than anybody else that we cannot defend what we have, and talk about it in a rational, logical way? But I'm going to tell you this, and I do this with all sincerity. At some point, people are going to poke too much, and there's going to be something that they're not going to want to see. Because in this country, especially, a lot of white people have guns. And if it gets to a point where we are feeling threatened, there's going to be a lot of blood spilled. And it's going to be over something stupid. It may not even be anything that deals with this. And we're going to become more and more insular. I can't say the word. We're going to be in our own little ghettos. Just like the Muslims have their ghettos. In this country, we have issues where everybody's all together. We're already very segregated in this country. People don't believe this, but we are. We all pretty much live with people that look like us, the same type of culture that we have. Unless we don't have enough money to get out of it, but what we do. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at the same time, at some point, somebody's going to wake up, and enough of them are going to wake up, and it's going to happen. It's happened every time there's been a place where there's been multiculturalism societies. You're going to have a war, and we have more guns. And at the end of the day, we're going to be defending what is us. And it may be bad. We may lose at the end. At the end of time, we're going to have a place that we're going to be together. We may be just 1% of the population at that point, but we're going to do it. I don't want it to go to that. I just want what this country could be and what the West can be. We need to have a backbone. And until we get that, we're going to continually go down here, and people like me are going to say shit online about this, and we're going to have people that are a lot smarter than me are going to say stuff online, and we're all going to talk, and more and more people are going to be in jail for saying wrong thing. No matter what you have to say, you're going to be in jail because of this, and people are going to sit there and not do anything about it. And they compare us to Nazis all the time. The problem is the shit that's happening to everybody that talks out is what the Nazis did. And we're not the Nazis here. We're the people that are saying, hey, this is what we believe in. And every other culture and every race believes this shit as well. And we want basically the same type of rights. Or the respect to say that this country was built by us, the West was built by us, whether all its faults, it's still the most important culture, the greatest civilization of all time, and we want to defend it. That's it. Thank you for watching. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.